Guys, I warn you, this is going to be painful. With that being said, let's go. Once upon a time, an unknown author called E.L. James started writing some Twilight fanfiction. She was a little bit confused about BDSM and sexual abuse and thought they were pretty much the same thing. And some people who she showed her Twilight fanfiction to were very fascinated about it. And so she decided to publish them as a trilogy. And gave birth to something we know today as the 50 Shades trilogy. This trilogy spawned a bunch of beautiful, memorable lines, such as, "The woman who brought me into this world was in crack whore Anastasia. Now go to sleep," Christian said. "Christian Grey just sent me a winky smiley. Oh my. Don't you like the butt drawer? Hold on to the sink, I command. My hand glides down her ass to the blue string, and I tug out the tampon, which I toss into the toilet. But don't take my word for it. Check out this dude."
And I come, gloriously, loudly, sagging weakly. His arms curl around me as my legs turn to jelly.
As Greg Sestero's character Mark in The Room once said,
"People are very strange these days."
and so this trilogy sold about $95 million. And the inevitable thing had to happen.
What are butt plugs?
This is so going to make a funny jump cut. What fresh hell is this? Hello everybody and welcome to the Movie Void. And today we are doing 50 Shades of Shit. To bring the 50 Shades trilogy on the big screen, the team behind this needed a different approach. One couldn't just adapt the books the way they were set out to be originally, because the target demographic were middle-aged women. So the things that a middle-aged woman reads in the privacy of her own home should stay in the privacy of her own home, because if those ideas were put on the big screen, it would be way too in your face. We would have gotten an NC-17 movie, which would have been a disaster, or a porno for that matter. So they needed to make this project have somewhat of a sense of class, a sense of sophistication. And this is why they brought in a team of masterminds. We had Dakota Johnson playing Anastasia Steele, who we know from very nice appearances in 21 Jump Street and The Social Network. Jamie Dornan got the part of Christian Grey, who had an amazing performance in Netflix The Fall. And as directors, they brought in Sam Taylor Johnson and James Foley, who we know from House of Cards. They even had Danny Elfman taking care of the score on all 3 parts. With the team behind this, one could think that whatever shit was in the script, they were going to pull out some kind of a masterpiece out of their ass. Let's see what happened. Let's kick off the show with 50 Shades of Grey, the first part of the trilogy.
Because I'm 50 shades of fucked up.
The film opens up with a rainy day shot of Seattle, while a very sexy, smoky version of I Put a Spell on You is playing.
You better stop the things you do.
One has to acknowledge that the soundtrack of the film is generally a bunch of contemporary pop hits covered in this sexy, smoky style, which as an idea is actually not really bad, but once you hear these songs in the same style, like an hour into the film, it feels like they are trying to remind you that you are watching a sexy movie. Then we get a few shots of Christian Grey looking at his ties. We meet Anastasia Steele, your regular kind of peaceful girl. She is a literary student and sometimes works at a hardware store. They really wanted to make her seem like the most ordinary girl in the world, so the directors probably told her to keep making this resting shit-face look.
Business is about people. Tell Stefan to have the plane ready. I'll be in the tarmac in 30 minutes.
The last time I saw somebody look like they shat themselves so intensively was Zoe Deschanel in The Happening or Abigail Breslin in the Dirty Dancing remake. While we're on the subject, Carlos, take it away.
Welcome to Carlos's Who Shot Themselves Better contest! Now new and updated! Our nominees are Abigail Breslin, the Dirty Dancing remake!
I carried his watermelon.
Zoe Deschanel, The Happening!
It makes you kill yourself. Just when I thought there couldn't be any more people like me in bed.
Dakota Johnson, 50 Shades of Grey! Vote in the comments! After 100 votes, we will give one of you $50 for any online shop there is. And we will give the winner of the Who Shot Themselves Better contest an award.
So Anastasia Steele, she lives with this good friend of hers who is a journalist or something like that, and she can't make it one day and she asks her to interview Christian Grey for her, who is a multi-millionaire with one of the biggest companies in the world. So Anastasia Steele does what she is told and walks into his office and trips. After she trips, she looks at him with a look in her face, almost asking him,
Oh, please give me cock. I want a cock.
Christian Grey appears to be somewhat like showing off with his money very much.
You are very young to have amassed such an empire. To what do you
To
owe
what do I
yourself?
owe my success?
Yep.
Seriously?
That's pretty much the only character we're getting so far out of him. The interview is generally unspectacular, but Anastasia Steele somewhat falls in love with him.
Earlier you said that there are some people who know you well. Why do I get the feeling that that is not true?
Cock, 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 cock.
And it seems Christian Grey also falls for Anastasia.
I can go, it's fine.
I would like to know more about you.
After their first encounter, Christian literally starts stalking Anna and shows up at the hardware store where she works
I thought it was you.
What the
and buys some bondage equip.
rope, tape, cable ties.
Anna, of course, doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. I know the filmmakers are trying to make Anna seem as innocent as possible. But instead of doing that, they are making her appear dumb as fuck. But anyway, this results in them going on a date together, which Christian totally abrupt because
I'm not the man for you. You should steer clear of me.
but that doesn't stop him from stalking her. A few moments later, Anastasia is celebrating her graduation with a couple of friends, and she gets drunk and drunk dials Christian.
Let's go for coffee. No. Stay away from me, Anna. I don't want you. Get away. Come here, come here. Go away.
Strangely, on the same night, one of her best friends comes on to her, and all of a sudden Christian just appears on the spot. Anna pukes because she's so drunk, and Christian holds her hair back as if he was her girly BFF. Christian takes her to his hotel room where he is staying, and they spend the night together. But nothing happens. The stalky relationship goes on, and then they end up on a new date. And this time Christian takes Anastasia on a fucking helicopter. And this is where the film uses its title track on this helicopter ride. You know that song we all love secretly? I know, you don't want to admit it, but I know you love that song. You know what song I'm talking about.
You are the light, you are the night, you are the color of my blood. You are the sore, you are the pain, you are the only thing I wanna touch. Never net that I could mean so much, so much. Love me like you do, la la, love me like you do, like you do, like, love me like you do, la la, love me like you do, touch me like you do, ta ta.
Yeah, that song. At first I thought, oh my god, you're wasting your title track on this pointless scene. But then you look further into the movie and notice that nothing much bigger, other than a couple of sex scenes where the song wouldn't fit, really happens in this movie. Most of the scenes in this movie pretty much take place in an elevator.
Christian? Christian.
What is it about elevators?
Well, anyway, they arrive at Christian's.
Would you like a drink?
Yes, please.
And then Anna wants to talk to him about being in a normal relationship, but Christian doesn't want that. Christian generally is this walking contradiction because he says things like,
First, I don't make love. I fuck. Hard.
but then does this. This doesn't look like fucking hard, Mr. Gray. None whatsoever. And he doesn't do dinner and a movie.
Would we still go out to dinner and movies and...
That's not really my thing.
And a couple of scenes later, you see him do this.
2 steaks, medium fries, green vegetables.
And generally, Christian doesn't have any redeeming qualities whatsoever. He is a cold-hearted, psychotic stalker. And I don't know what this movie is trying to tell you. If you're boring as fuck, all you need is a bunch of money and girls will fall in love with you instantly, well, thank you, movie, for supporting misogynism. God damn it. And on the other hand, Anastasia, she's just bland. She's boring. She has no passion. She has no soul. She just keeps making that resting shit face and not really contributing at all to the situation in any manner. So you have Mrs. Boring Shitface Pants versus Mr. Rich Ass Boring Pants, and you're stuck in this love duo of absolute dullness. And he shows her his playroom.
My playroom.
Like your Xbox and stuff?
It's important that you know you can leave at any time.
Why? What's in there?
I meant what I said. The helicopter's on standby to take you whenever you want to go.
Couldn't you just open the door?
No, not that playroom. This playroom. And makes her fully aware that he is into BDSM, and if she wants a real relationship, she will have to get into this stuff too. You know? And then he introduces her to a flogger.
It's called a flogger.
You know, I'm a little fan of BDSM shit myself. Okay, maybe a big fan of BDSM, but I don't have a flogger. So I made one myself. Look, this is a flogger. I will flog you. Anastasia has sex with toys for the first time in her life, and she seems to enjoy it. And after they're done, Christian Grey offers her this contract.
This is the contract. Read it carefully. Email me if you have any questions.
On how he would like to have a relationship with her. And this contract is very weird as fuck. It doesn't really have much to do with BDSM. It's more like a slave contract.
The submissive will not enter into sexual relations with anyone other than the dominant. The submissive will eat regularly to maintain her health and well-being from a prescribed list of foods. The submissive will not drink to excess, smoke, or take recreational drugs. The submissive shall always conduct herself in a respectful manner to the dominant, and shall address him only as Sir, Mr. Grey, or such other title as the dominant may direct. The submissive may not touch the dominant without his express permission to do so.
Anastasia decides to meet him up to discuss the details of the contract. And until this contract is signed, Christian Grey doesn't want them to have sex or anything in any kind of way. But during this, he keeps giving her new gifts. He gives her a laptop. He gets rid of her old car and gives her a new car. And so Anastasia Steele visits Christian to discuss this contract, and she asks wonderful questions like,
What are butt plugs?
and she is against anal fisting.
Find anal fisting.
I'm all ears.
Strike it out. Strike out vaginal fisting too.
You sure?
Yeah. Same page. Is the use of sex toys acceptable to the submissive? Vibrators okay. Dildos fine. Genital clamps? Absolutely not.
Christian keeps breaking his own contract. And some of the rest of the movie is about Anastasia constantly contemplating if she should fuck Christian or not, even though they already had sex twice. Nothing anybody ever does really makes sense in this film. And then they end up having sex. And then through this whole entire contracting and negotiating and shit like that, Anastasia wants to know how bad it can be in this bondage world, and wants Christian to inflict his worst punishment upon her. And this scene is so fucking ridiculous that I called one of my best friends, Bloodycube, to reenact it with me. Enjoy.
punish me. Show me the worst.
I'm going to hit you 6 times. I want you to count with me. 1. Count with me.
1,
2.
2,
3.
3,
4.
4,
5.
5,
6.
6. Don't touch me!
I know Christian Grey actually uses a belt in this scene, but we really wanted to put that flogger we made into some good use. If you guys want to see more of Bloodycube, check out her Instagram account down there, and if you want to check it out later, it is also written down in the description. Well, Anastasia is so upset about those 6 slaps she got on her back that she decides to call off the entire relationship with Christian.
Don't you dare come near me.
But before that, she handles one thing.
I'd like my car back.
Taylor already sold it.
And I'd like the money he got for it, please.
I'll send you a check.
Okay.
And she leaves.
Ella.
Christian.
And the movie's over. Bye-bye. Off you go, movie. Well, what do we make of 50 Shades of Grey 1? It is beautifully shot. As mentioned before, the soundtrack ain't bad. The actors really give their best to make a decent performance here. But they can't really do that since their characters are so terribly, terribly written. And since we are making a rated R film and not a porno, they toned down all the sex scenes and removed some of the terrible dialogue. And so what you are left is with a lot of nothing. It is dull, it is boring, nothing happens here. 50 Shades of Grey actually teaches us as filmmakers something. If you want a story-driven plot, unlike something like Seasons where you only see nature shots, or Cigarettes and Coffee where you get a lot of dialogue. If you want a story-driven film, you can have the best actors, the best cameras, the best lighting in the world. But without a story, you ain't gonna get anywhere. God damn it, I do not know how I'm going to survive the next 2 films. I am going to get seriously drunk as fuck. And I'll let good old Matt take care of part 2. You guys will see me at part 3, 50 Shades Freed, and I will be a drunk mess. Till then.
I was being romantic and then you just go and distract me with your kinky fuckery.
Kinky fuckery.
So, before I start today, I just have to say, I hate you, Void. I hate you. I had been able to completely avoid the series of terrible movies until now, but because of you, I ended up having to watch 50 Shades Darker, a movie that I expect to be complete and utter trash, but it still surprised me of how bad it actually was.
Anastasia, I want you back.
No rules. No punishments. Tell me what you have that I don't.
I don't really think that I can properly explain everything that is wrong with this movie by just making a simple review of it. I think what I will do instead is give you a little dramatic recollection of what it felt like watching this thing. This movie starts by showing you that there will be no subtlety to be found in the writing whatsoever. And they have the opening shot be a flashback of Christian Grey's tragic past.
Here you are.
Now, I'll talk more about his tragic past later, so don't even worry about that just yet. To my surprise, I actually thought that the movie did one thing right, and that is by showing us how the characters are dealing with being separated, which is a good thing. You get to see how they deal with being apart for a little bit, so when they finally get back together, you understand of where their need for each other comes from.
Nobody said it was easy.
Oh, wait. That doesn't happen. What actually happens is they have a 5-minute conversation with some terrible dialogue and they just get back together right away. Why even have them break up in the end of the first movie, only then to have them come back together in the beginning of the second movie? No, really, I want to know. I guess I shouldn't be surprised. It's not like any of these characters have any consistency to their actions whatsoever. We see that with Anastasia wanting to do something new with their relationship.
I think we should take it slow.
Only then to have that idea thrown right out of the window because the writers realized that, hey, if they're taking things slow, we won't have any sex scenes. And they need their sex scene. I mean, how else are they supposed to market this movie to middle-aged women who are bored of their sex life? I mean, they need to make their budget back, right? After the movie gets rid of any new ways that the characters could have interacted with each other that doesn't have to do with them fucking, the movie realizes that, hey, we might not have enough filler for the other 1 hour and 50 minutes there's left of our runtime, so that's where the stalker subplot starts. I say start, but I really mean just gets introduced and then forgotten about it for like 20 minutes, because we gotta pay attention to a much more interesting subplot on those 20 minutes, and that is Anastasia's new job and how she deals with her slimy boss.
Good morning, Mr. Hyde.
Anna, please, it's Jack. Tea, right? Weak? Black?
I'm pretty sure I'm supposed to get this for you, but thank you, Jack.
I don't even have to tell you how the subplot ends, because you probably can already figure out what is gonna happen. That is why every single scene paying attention to this played out subplot feels like such a waste of your time. You know exactly what is gonna happen. There's no surprises. So while you're watching that subplot move along and not end, you're just waiting for the movie to take you out of your misery by just cutting away to anything else. Anything else. That, and you have to deal with the terrible acting from the girl that plays Anastasia. She is so bad.
Christian, I don't care about my hair. Explain to me what's going on.
His birthday? When is his birthday?
It's kind of amazing. Basically, the only reason that any of this is in the movie is so finally when her boss shows his true colors,
What do you think I'm gonna do? Make you fuck me?
Jack.
Christian can come to the rescue and fire him.
Hides out. He's been fired.
Now, Christian is not this guy's boss or anything like that, but it doesn't really matter because he seems to have an unlimited amount of money and he can just buy whatever the hell he wants. Art? Why not? Airplanes? That's pretty cheap. A company? Hell, it's not like any of these things cost money or require you to have like contracts and other things or anything. What is he? Okay, so in my rage, I realized that I skipped a little bit ahead in the movie. I forgot to mention the little masquerade ball section of this movie.
The way you wear your hat.
There's probably something really crazy happening in this masquerade ball, right? Because every other trailer and basically every single poster for this movie had the masks or them in masks or just showing that yes, there's gonna be a masquerade ball in this movie. So pay attention, guys. When you see that scene coming out or that subplot showing up, there's something truly insane happening here. Right?
Comes in the night and repeats in my ear.
Nope, nothing happens. Of course nothing happens. Nothing happens in this entire movie. They just go to the ball. Anastasia buys something with Christian's money.
$24,000.
They have some terrible acting and terrible dialogue.
I don't know whether to worship at your feet or spank you.
They have some sex scenes. And then they leave. Just breathe, man. Just breathe. It's just a movie. It's just a movie. It can't hurt you anymore. You finished it. You're just gonna finish for this review. You're just gonna get through. Just push through. Don't think about it. Don't even look at it. This is fine. Can we please go back to the stalker subplot? I mean, that could have been interesting.
We'll have the car towed.
What happened? That's my car. What happened to my...
Oh, that's good. That's something. Please, stay on this. Please.
So this is where your knot tying expertise comes from.
We're in a boat now. We're in a boat. We're in a freaking boat for some reason. Movie, could you please, for the love of God, stop running away from the only subplot that could be mildly interesting? It's not even interesting, but it could be. It could be mildly interesting, but you keep running away from it. I don't want to waste my time in this freaking boat having to listen to how tragic Christian Grey's past is and having to deal with Anastasia's terrible line delivery.
That's beautiful. The view's probably amazing. I wonder who lives there.
What kind of line delivery is that? That is something that a non-English speaker would sound like if they were reading a phonetic script. It just doesn't sound normal. Her bad acting and the never-ending exposition of just how tragic Christian Grey is feel like listening to somebody just scratch a blackboard. You know what? That's not even true. How much rather listen to somebody scratching a blackboard for 2 hours than having to listen one more freaking time about how tragic and sad Christian is. Oh my god, it's so sad.
What happened to her?
She overdosed. They found her body 3 days later.
Where were you?
I was with her.
Oh my god.
Hey guys, did you know that he has a really tragic past? No, really, it's super tragic and sad.
Are these burns? Who did this to you?
If we don't mention that he has a super tragic past every other scene, there's nothing about Christian's character beside the fact that he likes his kinky fuckery. And if you think that I just said kinky fuckery out loud to exemplify just how terrible and stupid this movie is, oh no, the movie does that job much better than I could and much better than anyone could ever dream of doing.
I was being romantic and then you just go and distract me with your kinky fuckery.
Kinky fuckery.
Kinky fucking fuckery. Are you serious right now? I don't know, maybe when the subplot of the stalker comes back, something might actually happen in this movie.
I came to see you.
That's good. She has a gun. That's interesting. That's something. Alright, so the stalker has a gun and she's pointing this gun to Anastasia. Something might actually happen, guys. This is breaking ground for this movie. I mean, something has to happen. Maybe she's gonna kidnap Anastasia. Maybe Christian Grey is gonna show up and try to save her and get shot. Like, something. Anything Please! Of course, of course, of course! Of course nothing happens. Nothing ever happens in this movie. We just get introduced to new subplots every other minute, and anytime that any sort of conflict arises from these subplots, they just get dealt with right away without any struggle for any other characters. That's fine. We don't need anything because none of these subplots have any purpose. The best example of this is the helicopter subplot. I call it a subplot, but that's only because I don't know what else to call it. It's not really a subplot, it's not really a scene, it's just there.
Christian, what is that?
Don't worry.
Oh my god! Christian!
This helicopter scene happens like an hour and 50 into this movie, so the movie is almost over. So when it shows up, you're just confused and baffled from what you're seeing. Your brain can't comprehend the information that it's processing. There must be something wrong. There's no way that this is actually happening. There has to be a logical explanation to this madness. Maybe the movie will just cut to credits and this will end up being the cliffhanger that leads to the third movie. That has to be it.
Seattle. Sources tell us they're helicopters.
Miss me?
He just shows back up without any scratches. We have a helicopter crash scene, and then 3 minutes later he's back and he's fine. Movie, you do understand that if you cut that scene out, you could have saved on some of the budget, right? It's not like any of this matters anyways. The only thing that this movie actually cares about is to have enough boringly shot, poorly lit, awkwardly acted erotic scenes so the bored middle-aged women that come to watch this movie can feel for like 2 hours and their life is not as tedious as it actually is. That, and we have to get Christian to propose to Anastasia near the end of the movie so they can have a third one.
This is amazing.
But hey, it's not like I have to watch that one. Good luck, Void. Good fucking luck.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
My tongue feels like too much salt. And it's like salt. Like,
Is it what you mean?
you know?
It's
I've been there. Fun for like the first 2 weeks. And then it was like, okay, it's a lot. Thanks for watching, everyone. We're going to go put this food away and then stand in the shower a little bit. Now look and wash off the end here. Bye.
However, Jesus Christ. Are we really doing this? Oh boy. Oh shit. Well, here goes nothing. Anyway, 50 Shades Freed starts off with their wedding. It's very kitsch, it's very corny, it's very cheesy. It's sort of like Anastasia and Christian Grey, her name is now Anastasia Grey, mind you, go on their honeymoon. And in this situation, Anna is looking at all the other women who are tanning topless, and she's like, I want to tan topless too. And Christian's all like, no, Anastasia, you are not showing your tits. But I want to show my tits. No, you are not showing your tits. And yeah, that goes on forever. But she makes a point by showing her tits. Much to the pleasure of us male viewers, because we really see a lot of frontal nudity from Dakota Johnson in this episode of the trilogy. And she ain't got bad boobs. Do you love me? Why do you define me? Christian says. Because I can. Their beautiful romantic honeymoon gets interrupted because somebody set a fire to Christian Grey's business building. And it turns out that that somebody was no other than Jack, Anna's ex-boss from part 2. We generally notice something new with Anastasia in this episode, because for the first time ever in this entire trilogy, Anastasia does not look like she just shat herself. Instead, she looks like she just lost her mind entirely. Well, anyway, the two of them are driving down a highway when suddenly Christian Grey notices that they are being followed.
We're being followed.
And a car chase sets in. The funny thing about the car chase is that through the whole entire thing, this upbeat music is playing. And Anastasia is like driving all happily, and it doesn't seem climatic at all. Even though we know that Anna has a stalker, and we know that somebody set fire to Christian Grey's building. Just imagine like Mad Max Fury Road with this upbeat music. That's how this feels.
Disco Jackson, they call you Disco Jackson. Ready for some action? Disco Jackson, yeah. Shake your booty on the dance floor, yeah. Disco Jackson,
Disco Jackson,
Disco Jackson,
Disco Jackson,
Disco Jackson,
Disco Jackson,
Disco Jackson.
Well, after the car chase, we get to see them at work. And Christian suddenly walks into Anna's office, and he's all like,
I tried emailing you. It bounced. There's no Anastasia Grey at SIP.
I know. Anna Steele is the name I use at work. I need to have my own identity here. People already think I got to where I am because of you.
But you didn't. You got this through hard work and talent. Why does it matter what you call yourself? Who gives a what people think?
Well, apparently you do.
the emancipation of Anastasia Steele. Grey! Because of work-related reasons, Christian Grey has to leave the city. Anastasia is told to stay home. But she doesn't. She wants to go meet her friends. The emancipation of Anastasia Steele! And when Anastasia gets back home from work, there is suddenly an intruder in her house, and she is attacked by Jack. But the bodyguards and her security are there, and they take care of him. It's funny because they don't have anything like to hold on to him, and Anastasia is all like, I might have something, so we could keep him tied up. But we never see what she uses. It would have given the movie such a little comedic twist at that part, but they never made use of it. Meh. So Christian comes back from his work-related trip, has revenge sex with Anna for leaving the house with a vibrator. Okay. Then we find out that Jack, the stalker, is denying everything, and that he is probably going to get bail. Afterwards, we get a bunch of filler. They go on vacation with a couple of friends, and nothing really happens at all. Well, then they come back, and we find out that Anastasia is pregnant.
It seems you're pregnant, Mrs. Gray.
And Christian's all like, I don't want to share you with anybody else. Anastasia's all like, but we have to take care of this kid. That's what decent parents do. And then they start fighting. Well, Christian gets drunk. Anastasia is all annoyed. Things get very messed up between the two.
Things got mixed up. I didn't mean for this to happen.
And while they're too busy with themselves, Jack gets bail and is out of jail. And then suddenly, Anastasia gets a call from Jack.
How the hell are you, Anna?
Jack, what do you want?
Who tells her that he kidnapped Christian's sister. And that she has, like, about a couple of hours' time to give him $5 million. Wait a second, 50 Shades. Alright, have you actually brought some tension into your film? Some suspense? I mean, you already gave us the character arc with the emancipation of Anastasia Steele. Oh my god! You're actually starting to look like a real film! How the fuck did this happen? Wow! Cheers to that! Yay! Well, Anastasia gets the money, and Christian thinks she's leaving him. Christian tells all of his people to give her everything she needs. So Anastasia drives to the bank, picks up the $5 million, actually grabs the phone of the bank dude, and gets into this car where one of her work colleagues is actually working for Jack. And he drives her to the meeting point where Christian's kidnapped sister is. But she throws the bank dude's phone away because she knows that Christian can track her. And that is exactly what happens, and he follows her there. And before he comes, she actually is in this position where he is threatening her. And before Christian or the cops come, she doesn't know what to do and just shoots him. And then Christian comes and the day is saved. Wow. 50 Shades. The most boring schlock actually makes it to be somewhat interesting in the last 40 minutes. Yeah, that happened. Jesus fucking Christ, I gotta get over the fact that I didn't find this bad at all. It was nice in this so bad it's good way. But I'm just talking about 50 Shades Freed, okay? Okay? Do not think I am talking about the first two. Okay, I'm a little drunk. That could also be the problem, but... So, that was the 50 Shades trilogy. Oh well, what do we make of it? Without being mean, one could easily say that this was maybe the most boring trilogy of our time, if not the most boring trilogy ever.
Ever.
One is a characterless, boring mess that goes nowhere. 2 is a characterless mess that also goes nowhere, but at least it tries to have a plot, but doesn't really succeed. And 3 is somewhat entertaining, and that's so bad it's in a good way, but only if you have sat through the first 2. Otherwise, I think you'll be bored. It's the low expectations that get part 3 their points, but I can see people finding some guilty pleasure in this, totally. There's a lot of bullshit, a lot of softcore sex scenes. This is generally just a silly little pass the time type of trilogy. Nothing more and nothing less. The 50 Shades trilogy is like staring at this massive, massive, massive pile of shit. But you stare at it and stare at it and stare at it and stare at it and stare at it, and if you stare at it long enough, you see this little spark. And if you dig deep inside, you find a little heart. And that's what I make of this. Well, guys, this was the Movie Void. You will see me when you see me. And I am 50 Shades Freed. Whee!
So, you thought Anastasia and Christian Grey had their child and lived happily ever after? How are they going to indulge in kinky fuckery with a kid lying right beside them? And will they explain the birds and the bees? Will there be time to hold a flogger when Anna is too busy holding children? Out in 50 Shades Forever. Forever and ever. Valentine's 2023.
You're the light, you're the night, you're the color of my blood. You're the cure, you're the pain, you're the only thing I wanna touch. Never knew that it would mean so much, so much. You're the fear, I don't care, 'cause I've never been so high. Follow me to the dark, let me take you past our satellites. You can see the world you've brought to life, to life. So love me like you do, la la, love me like you do. Love me like you do, la la, love me like you do. Touch me like you do, ta ta, touch me like you do. Ooh. What are you waiting for? Fading in, fading out, on the edge of paradise. Every inch of your skin.
Oh, please give me cock. I want a cock.